I've got a thing, for mechanical pencils, and Four Candies have very kindly sent me this lovely set here to have a play with. So instead of my usual ones here, I'm going to do a drawing solely with mechanical pencils of a dog. How will they shade? How do they work? How do all these different leads work as well? You've got soft leads, very kind of wide leads as well, look at it. So let's get this drawing started and see how well these mechanical pencils work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to lead in one of these because I've got no idea what the lead is inside this mechanical pencil. And I'm going to go for their 2H to begin with. I like to go light. I've always put pencil leads in the tip of a pencil like that and then slide them carefully in. These are easier because obviously they're quite thick. But the finer lead pencils which I normally use, it's got to be very careful with that. You can very often drop them in the top of that plastic tube inside the mechanical pencil. When I'm working on a drawing, I do like to make sure that I keep it nice and light, I really do. I'm going to start off by creating little detail lines, just on the bridge of the nose to begin with, then start to work around the drawing as I go along, changing the leads as well as I go through the process. Remember, this is a size 2 nib. I know, quite wide, but it's not because it's got a point on the tip of it. So that's the beauty about something like this, because you can sharpen these tips. It works really, really well. But just by very lightly using the 2H lead, touching the surface of the paper, and this paper is really, really smooth. Okay, let's crack on with this now. I'm going to keep switching leads every now and again, especially when I want to get darker as well. And I've also got something which is not in the kit here, and these are called blending stumps, just those there lot. And all they simply are, there you go, focus on that so you can see it, just pieces of rolled up paper, that's all they are lot. And they're really useful for very, very lightly blending in tiny circles. Any pencil you put on the paper there like that just softens it back. So that's also good for skin tones and things like that as well. And they're also very cheap to buy as well. They've even provided pencil sharpeners as well, but that's not for the normal pencil type. This is for the leads inside the pencils. You can sharpen the tips of the pencils and these little kind of pencil sharpeners when you can get them out. One thing I've noticed with this little kit though, when you want to grab a pencil or mechanical pencil out of there, they haven't positioned them, so you can just press down one side and the other side lifts up. Pencil sharpeners, as you can see, got one here from their kit. It's got 2 little holes, and these are the size of the leads that you can put inside those holes and sharpen the tip of those. So when you grab one of these pencils here, try and get one out. Yeah, I say not easy to get them out really. You can see the tip of this, look, I'll put it against the white of the paper, is pointed. And that's because they've placed that within the pencil sharpener like that and sharpened down those leads. I know, quite clever, isn't it? Why I need 2, I've got no idea, because I've had a look at these and they're both the same size holes. That I can tell anyway. And also the different softness of the leads as well, from 2H, HB, 2B and also 4B. Now the key when you're working with pencils is don't go too dark too soon. If you've got a variety of different hardness leads, start off with say a 2H, then a HB, then a 2B, 4B. And if you've got any higher than that, go even higher, like a 6B or 8B, or even a 9B. I know they go even higher than that, don't they? Yeah, I know. So play with those leads, don't press on too hard. That's also a little tip as well, because when you do press on too hard, then you indent that paper. If you want to remove any of that pencil, yeah, it's not always that easy. Not if you pressed on too hard. So just keep it nice and light as you're working with this. That's why there's such a wide variety of leads on the market, because at least then you can create whatever depth of tone that you want to create. Yeah, I know. And my aim today is to play with these pencils. At the moment, it's not too bad, it feels a little bit heavy in the hand compared to my normal Faber-Castell, which is a little bit lighter. Let's lighten this down using the putty eraser to the very top part of the head to lighten it back. You'll see why later on. All I'm using today is some very old Canson Bristol illustration paper. That's all it is, look. It's a 180 gram paper, so it's reasonably thick. But I've already torn the top of that as well by playing around with this paper in the past. So it does tear quite easily, so be careful with something like this. But it's got a reasonable thickness to it. The only thing is they've already provided the leads inside these pencils here, these mechanical pencils. And the problem with that is because I've got no idea what softness lead that is. I know. So which one is it that's already in there? Don't know. It could be any of these. Yeah, anything to do with the 2-0 ones. It could be from 2H all the way through to 4B. which is nice and soft. And looking at this one at the moment, I would say that's possibly a 2B, but I don't really know. Now for the first layer of detail on the nose, and the little nose there, let's just fill in the nostril first of all with this, well, 2H lead. That's all it is, isn't it? It's not too dark, still that first layer. Quite a lot of work to do on the first layer, to be honest with you, because of the fact that we want to cover the paper, you know? And because we'll be kind of creating the highlights later on, you need that pencil on the paper to be able to create the highlights with. I'll show you what I mean in a bit. I'm going to stipple, very light stipples to the nose now. Just ease off to where it's really, really bright around there, just at the very tip of the nose. Tiny little dots, that's all I'm doing here. And all the way over the nostril there as well. Bit of a crease down here. So even though I've got these stipples on, we do need to go darker with that. Remember, this is a 2H lead, so don't press on with anything like that. We'll go darker with each layer that we add on, where the leads will become softer for each layer. And the beauty about every layer you do will also mean you don't need quite as much detail. This is the part which takes the longest, the first layer. I've just unwrapped one of these erasers, okay, so that's ready to go. And also just unwrapped as well the putty eraser. Now, I'm not sure about this because it feels extremely sticky. The Faber-Castell one is not quite as sticky, which is this one, as one by Four Candies. That's really sticky stuff, that. The only thing is, if you're going to put that back in its case, just be careful. Because when you put it back in there, that's like sort of a faux fake surface, and I think that'll just stick to it. It's very, very sticky, as you can see. Oh. But it does seem to work quite well. Look at that. It does pull off that pencil. Most of it. Like so. And you can see how much has gone onto there now. So I suggest you do, if you do get this kit, make sure you put it inside something before you put it back in the kit box. Otherwise it'll just simply stick to it and you get goo everywhere. It doesn't feel too bad afterwards, to be honest with you, so I think we'll get away with that. Now I'm going to change my pencil to a 2B now, right? So it's going to be much softer. So if I try and get one of those out of there, again it would be handy if they put a little depression on one end, so you can just push it down and the other end lifts up. Again, I've got no idea what the lead is within the pencils, apart from the thickness of the lead, which in this case, as you know, is 2.0. So I'm going to put in, as I said, this one is a 2B, right? And it's a size 2, obviously. And I wonder, should we try this? Take off that top. Remember, there's no erasers within these, not the size 2s. Put that in. And then put that back on the top, and let's see if that comes out the end. Yeah, no problem. I did think it should work quite well, but I wasn't sure. Okay, and that goes in there. Here, that's a new lead. I'm going to give it a light sharpen. And that gives it a lovely point on the end as well, doesn't it? All by a little sharpener like that. And you can just slide these apart. See little grips on the sides there, look. These slide off. And when they slide off, you can just empty that into the bin. Obviously, don't do that over your drawing, okay? The other thing as well, because I've got a 2H in this one, and I've got a 2B in that one, how do I know which is which? Yeah. Apart from when you start using them, obviously. And when you put these away in the box when you've done with them and you come back to them another day, you've got no idea what the lead is that's in that pencil. Let's make a start on that eye. So this will add more of a mid-tone to it now. Even though I'm still using the size 2.0 lead, because I've sharpened it, I've got quite a good tip on this, a very fine tip on this. Well, again, I'm not pressing too hard. I don't want to press hard at all on here. But now I can get the mid-tones on the paper now, look. And this will stand out a little bit more now, getting this eye drawn in. And then the pupil, again, mid-tone. We'll go over this one more time with our darkest lead, which is at 4B. And then the same with the nose, dark on the nostril, just using tiny circles. Remember, we're after more contrast now. Not the darkest contrasts, just the mid-tones. Very lightly around the outside edge of that. I might blend that in a minute. Quite dark around here, so I'm going to darken it. Don't press on too hard. It's always tempting, isn't it? When you've got a pencil in your hand like this, you want, oh, I want to press on harder to make it darker. Remember, we've got softer leads for that. Well, this is 2B, we've got one more softer lead. Because normally when I use a mechanical pencil, I'm slightly heavy-handed. And because of that, the lead breaks on the paper. Has that happened to you? Also, what is your favourite mechanical pencil? Let me know in the comments just down there below, look. Even though this is a very inexpensive set, for such an array of pencils, it's doing okay, you know, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. This is where I ease off those areas where it's paler and just start to add some detail in where it's slightly darker. Remember, mid-tones now. Not the lightest, just the mids. And then you've got their normal eraser there, which is quite nice to use. Look at that. That does a really good job there, no problem at all. Let's just take it all off. We've also provided as well some more erasers which go in the tip of these pencils. These do actually feel quite good in the hand because they've got a metal barrel, bit of a grip as well just here. And I've got very dry fingers sometimes, so you need something you can grip onto, you know. And that's quite good, that one, so it's not too bad at all, I have to say. It does say for these mechanical pencils that the caps on the top for the 0.5, 0.7 and the 0.9mm drafting pencils comes equipped with eraser refills. So the size 2, when there's 2 of those, you don't actually get erasers in the top of those mechanical pencils, which is unusual really. But what I do like about these, because they come with pencil sharpeners, you can always maintain a very fine tip of these pencils as well. Okay, let's switch to a 4B lead. So the softest lead that we've got, and also the darkest lead. Let's see what we can do with this one, shall we? We'll start from the eye. Again, one more time. Go into the eye. I'm going to zoom into my photograph so I can see what I'm looking at. And just a darken where it needs to be darkened. You won't need too much of this. Hints of it around there. Yeah, and that's it for the eye. So quick. The nostril. I did say that I've got my own pencils which I use every now and then. And the softest lead I've got now is a 9B. Not a 4B, which is what this one is. So it would be handy if they had some softer leads within the kit. Especially for drawing as well, because very often you want to go darker without the need to press onto the paper to kind of make it really dark. The problem is the harder you press, the more shine you get on the paper, as you can see. Okay, it's just darkening down all the time now. Adding a dark colour in where it's needed, that's all I'm doing. You need to get a darker line and a finer line. Lightly sharpen it. You know what to do with that. That little tiny lead sharpener we've got there. I've never seen one of them before, and I've been painting for 40 odd years. I've never seen something like this, even though I'm sure they've been on the market for many years. And I'm sure you will tell me as well in the comments down below, Paul, where have you been all these years? They've been around for ages. Well, I've never seen them. I just wish they had softer leads in the kits as well, because the highest soft lead we've got is 4B. It'd be nice if they went up to an 8B, but I don't know how well an 8B would work within a mechanical pencil. Would it snap easily? You know, I think that's probably the reason why they've only got as soft as a 4B, because anything softer than that will probably break within a mechanical pencil. But if you have used softer leads within a mechanical pencil, let me know in the comments down below, because that's something I would seriously love to hear about. What I want to do is darken all the side of the head, all the way over the top, and then the back, not down here, just the front, the top and the back. And for that I'm going to go back to my size 4B, which I think is this one. I'm going to really extend this out. I'm going to try shading with this. I'm going to hold the pen, well, mechanical pencil, really close to the top like that, look. You see how high up I am there? I don't know if this will work, so it's a test, okay? Remember, this is a doodle, so I'm not sure if it doesn't work. What I'm going to do is use the side of the pencil like this and start to shade. Just using circles, ovals, squiggles, whatever you want to do. Use the side of the pencil that way round. You're catching the texture of the paper. There's not much on this Bristol paper. But you are getting a smoother, shaded finish as well. And we'll blend that with blending stump as well. You can use cotton wool balls or Q-tips, anything like that, to blend the pencil with. So a little tip for you there. Don't press on too hard though. Just very lightly do it. I'll blend this out as well to the white of the paper, or thereabouts. Yeah. Erasing. This is where we create more highlights by getting all the fine hairs coming away from the dog. But how are we going to do that? I'm going to test out their eraser first of all. I wouldn't say it's actually rubber as such, but I don't know. They've difficult to say. But what I want to use is a very sharp point, a very sharp edge on this. And I can use that to pull off a few finer lines. Yeah, you've got to be quite light with this to try it out and see if that works. Not too bad. Let's just try on the back of the neck. Just here. Few fine lines there. I don't want to press on too hard, because if I do, it will take far too much pencil off and I'll have to put it back on again. Which isn't a problem, of course not. And you can flick out a few lines that way as well. One way I've done this in the past by cutting an eraser in half and making thin slivers, so you can do it that way around. And that's one way you can actually create very fine pieces of eraser you can use to pull off some fine details like that. So, if I just do this again, like this, and flick out, that's how to create highlights. If it's too wide, just touch it back in again with a pencil, one of these mechanical pencils like that. Put a few extra lines in between, and that tidies it back up again, doesn't it? Don't forget you've also got these colourful leads as well. But do note at the time of this recording, these are not available on the market, not on their own. I've not found them anywhere yet, and I did email the people about these, but they didn't really answer my question. So these are nice obviously to have, but once you run out of these coloured versions, then what do you do then? So I think they're more of a sort of gimmicky side of things really to me. My idea with all of these pencils is mostly to have the mechanical pencils and all of these leads as well. I think if it was me, and I was starting out for the first time, wanting to get a set of mechanical pencils, this is probably one of the sets I'd go for. And you can produce something like this.